LGHO from Public Defender.
I'm not seeing Jarek. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Jennifer, what'd you say?
I am not seeing Majeric on here.
He's here. Is Mike? It says Mike.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Chris Hugel we have, Don Mason we have. So you guys are all here.
Okay. Sorry.
No, that's good. I'm gonna go make some copies of these agendas really quick. Jude, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if you're ready, we can go ahead and get underway.
Oh, okay. All right, Jennifer, we'll call this meeting to order. And would you please call the roll?
Curran.
Yes, I'm here.
Jarek.
Here.
Hugel.
Here. Is Donnie Meeks here?
You're muted.
I had to unmute it, but I'm here. Thank you.
Ah, there we go. Welcome,
Mr.
Don.
Chairman, you have 4.
We're present.
Okay.
Present. I almost said 4 absent.
Very
I'm
good.
absent.
Thank you very much.
I'm muting now.
All right, according to the agenda here, we're going to start right in with trial court status update. Carrie, is she with us?
I am. My apologies. I was hiding from everybody.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Brian had asked me to go ahead and provide an update with regards to the status of the court's operations right now. I was going to do a memo and then decided that things change so rapidly. Sometimes it feels like every 15 minutes that just a verbal would probably be easiest. If you are not aware, we had moved to phase 3 of the 4-phase reopening plan back in the first week of October. We were in that phase for 3 weeks and were told by our regional administrator from State Court Administrative Office that our numbers were trending upwards, which obviously you all have been made aware of regularly by the health department, and that we needed to consider returning back to phase 2 because of that increase in numbers. It wasn't really a consideration, truly. It was a strong suggestion / mandate. And so given where we were status-wise with the county, we did move back to phase 2 effective on the 26th of October. The positive part about that is not a whole lot changed with regards to what was being allowed in the building from a hearing perspective. We had only added a few things, and we'd added in some walk-in arraignments. We had added in some additional civil cases and things of that nature that we've subsequently had to pull back. We're in the process of trying to reestablish those processes via Zoom. We've been very successful in some of the circuit civil and the family court cases with regards to the and probate with regards to the use of Zoom. And so we're really trying to mirror that in the criminal division as best we can, despite the differences in population and usage. So that's kind of where we're at with regards to in-person. We aren't allowing, in phase 3, we were allowing folks to come in on a walk-in basis to file documents with the court. We've had to subsequently pull that back. We're not allowing in-person filing again. We are allowing filings via email again, though, and the Dropbox and mail are always still acceptable. We do have a new requirement with regards to contact tracing from the state that if at any point in time we begin conducting jury trials, we need to manage the contact information of anybody who comes into the building. We successfully were conducting jury trials starting in August, and we had done so including a couple of felonies all the way through the end of October. And subsequently we've had to pull back. My apologies. We've had to pull back because of the numbers. So we did notice the public that we will not be conducting a jury trial through the remainder of the month of November at this point in time. I think that's made a lot of people happy. They don't have to call in to check. So that's been a bonus for them. But, we're happy to have gotten through as many as we got through before the numbers started to increase, quite honestly. A lot of counties that I've spoken with over the past few weeks didn't even get the chance to get up and running. So we were in a good space sooner than a lot of other people. And I have to commend the work of all of our staff here. Frank Samsel has been I know he doesn't really care for public recognition, but he has been just invaluably helpful in that situation. So I have to say a lot of thanks to that. He's been wearing a lot of hats. With regards to the jury trials going forward, we're kind of taking that on a week by week basis for right now, with the exception of through the end of the month. And that was really only an addition of 1 week. The numbers are just obviously not good enough for us to bring people in and ask them to sit in a jury assembly room or a courtroom for a period of time, despite being socially distant. So we will be reevaluating that weekly based on the current numbers in the county of COVID positives. We did have to close operations in the Niles courthouse for a few days the week prior to few days last week, and then also this week, and that's due to quarantining and staff shortages across the board for multiple departments, not just the court in the South County location. And so we are assuming at this point in time, although I am waiting confirmation from one department, that we will be back operational in Niles on Monday, the 9th. So I do believe that should not be an issue as of right now. I think we'll be back up to full speed down there shortly.
Carrie?
We have been accepted.
Carrie?
Oh, yes, sir.
So was the court closed or was the whole building closed?
The court only was closed. A couple other departments were still allowing people in by appointment only. And certainly we don't have discretion over the entire building, right? We were only closing down the court operations at that point in time. I believe that the sheriff's department did still have staff down there to check in individuals who needed to come to either the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, or the public defender's office.
Okay, thank you. Also,
Yes,
as far as the space being used for the jury assembly, that will discontinue until the end of the month?
Correct. Yes, that will be vacant, at least from the court's perspective, through the end of the month. I'm not quite sure when we start getting back up to that. We've been trying to take priority of felony cases and those who are in the currently incarcerated and not out on bond based on what's up for trials that week. So it very well could be that that's one of the first uses that we'll have of it as soon as we get back up and running. I can say a lot of other courts across the state have been suspending into next year already, just kind of skipping the holidays in general. I think a lot of concern surrounds family visits and things like that and additional spreads. So I'm not saying that we're in that boat as of right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if our numbers continue to rise if we have to hold off for a little while longer to get those back up and running. But as of right now, the Niles north end of the building wouldn't be used by the court for a time.
In the meantime, the room will be set up as if you have used it, so that if you go back or go into phase 3, then you could start doing that again, correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes. I don't believe anybody else is using that as of right now. Should an emergency come up, we're certainly, more than happy to reestablish it. I think everything's marked out already very well by maintenance and IS, so I don't think it would be a concern to reestablish how we had it set up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think that's the biggest changes overall are the phase shift back and the Niles closure for the past couple of weeks. I think we're all feeling the effects of COVID, even when it comes to things along the lines of filings. So we're just continuing to process things as we can and move it as effectively and efficiently as we can going forward. Does anybody have any additional questions?
As far as the phases, how long were you in phase 2? You've already been there once, right? How long were you in?
Yeah. Oh, it seems like forever. I feel like everything seems like forever right now. We were in phase 2 since June. So we were in phase 2 for 4 months. And we had anticipated back in the summer being able to move to phase 3 in July, and the numbers just didn't align with that at the time. So we took a step back and and waited. And so, like I said, in the beginning of October, I think October 5th, I want to say was the first day we were in phase 3. We made it 3 valiant weeks in phase 3, and now we're back. So we are required, just in case anybody has any lingering questions about moving back to phase 3, we're required to have a minimum period of 14 days of a downward trend in COVID positives and/or the percent positivity rate. And as of right now, we would not qualify for that. We indicated in our administrative order, in case that is a question for anybody, a minimum of a 30-day window, just given what we were seeing. So I think that indicates our expected date of phase 3 would be November 23rd. That's certainly not a guarantee and is something that we just base with the health department and their recommendations based on the trajectories.
Is there anybody in the state who is stayed at phase 3, or did the whole state go to phase 2?
There was county by county. There was the recommendation. I think the only holdouts that I'm aware of, at least in our region, I'm not sure. I think perhaps the UP and the the upper lower peninsula, there's might be some in phase 3 still. But with regards to our region, which is kind of the Southwest Michigan region up through Kent County, the only one that held off on returning back was Ottawa for about a week additionally. And that's because the numbers that were reported on the, that the state was referring to were not the same as what their health department was reporting. So, but they've also subsequently gone back a phase as well.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any questions from the committee members? Okay, anything else, Carrie?
That's all for me. I'll hang on tight for just a minute for Tom's FOC discussion, but other than that, that's all I have. So thank you, and I hope you all have a good day.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, next item is the FOC remodel, and that's with Brian Todd and Tom Watson.
Mr. Chair, this is Brian Dissett. Todd has a 1 o'clock doctor's appointment, so I'm asking him via email right now to have Robert Ray jump on just in case this runs a bit long. With that said, over the past couple of months, we've been taking a hard look at friend of the court operation, taking a look at trying to make the space more livable for Tom Watson and his crew. Todd is going to walk you all through the plan as well as the numbers that he's been able to put together for the project. Once we get through that, I want to have a conversation with the admin committee about whether or not it would make sense to try and accelerate the project and to take advantage of some of our CARES Act funding. All right, Todd, can you fire away?
Yep, sure. I'm assuming, well, first I got to apologize. My laptop does not have a camera, and currently my phone is being held together by packing tape. I'm assuming everybody got the update that the memo I sent out on what numbers we had, and kind of how it's going to fall into a timeline. The biggest thing that we have to look at, one is the asbestos removal. That has to happen prior, and then we have to make sure that first step, the putting up the new wall and there, happens prior to the wall coming down too, only for security.
Hey, Todd, quick question.
Yep.
When did you send out that update? Was it quite a while ago?
Jim, can you repeat that? I didn't understand.
I didn't hear that, Jim.
Okay, the update that you said you sent out to us with the updated drawing and numbers and whatnot. Did you send that to us quite a while ago or just recently?
It would have came just recently.
We'll display it, Jim, if you just look at your screen.
Okay, did any of the other committee members get it? Because I don't see it.
I think I got it a month or 2 months ago. I got a copy of some.
Nope.
It was sent last night at 11:27 p.m.
I didn't get it.
I got it.
Annette, if you go to your email, it's the file titled 11/05/2020 FOC project outline.
Okay.
So at 11:27 PM last night, was that Annette sending that out? Was that her extended day, Brian?
Can you all say she's not working this Friday?
Okay, that's fine. She can send it to us anytime. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it, that I got
Yep.
it and didn't have it. So that's fine. You can continue. Annette can send it to us whenever she has a minute. And if you display it, we'll go from there.
All righty. We will let Annette do her thing, and I'll kind of walk you through it. Anyhow, there's several parts to this. One, there is building the new wall. 2, getting the asbestos out of the way, and then 3 is the actual removal of the wall. 4th part is the actual cubicle installation, but that's kind of on the back end there. Totally, to get our part done from the new wall, asbestos, and removing the actual wall is just under $49,000. You've got about 15,300 that's would take care of the asbestos, and we have to after the asbestos removed, we have to continually monitor the air as the project's going on. The wall up front, the new wall that would have the new doors, service area, that's something that we're doing in-house. That's roughly about $8,500. That's without us really digging into too much. So there's no contingency in there, but those were the numbers from the actual vendors on materials that we'd need. Actual wall demo, you're looking at about $25,000 to take the wall down. A little time consuming. There's about a 3-week lead time on that. And then you got about 2 weeks of actually having the wall removed. And reason for that is, one, they've got to take it out in pieces, and it has to be taken down through the service elevator. So that takes a little bit time doing, getting that all together so it's able to be extracted. The biggest thing is getting the whole thing, getting all of the logistics together. This time of year is usually one of our busiest times, only because we're trying to get everything wrapped up. Trying to get projects finished, trying to get invoices in, trying to get ready for winter, getting the buildings ready, systems ready. So it's pretty busy for us at this time. But this week alone, you throw in the COVID situation. We lost 2 this week to COVID. One actually tested positive, and the other through tracing. But you never know, we're everywhere. We're so it's hard to say on how, our staff will be affected by it. We've tried to pull back a little bit just to keep ourselves separated from others so that it doesn't happen. Unfortunately, soon we'll have snow, and it's not going to listen to us. It's going to come, and we're going to have to get rid of it. So we're trying to keep ourselves in good shape here while this is going on. The actual
Or Todd, can I get, at some point, I get reminded why we're doing this again? All of it. I have forgotten already. It's been such a long time, and now the price is quadrupled.
It was, it first started, Tom Watson needed to do something in, he really needs to do both sections there of FOC, but there was the cubicle system that's presently in there is just destroyed. It needs to be replaced. And that's how it started. And then we started kind of looking at the space and, seeing where we could pick some things up, because it's kind of confusing. You have a lot of doors in there. You come in that vestibule area. You actually have access to one of the judges' chambers through there. They get a lot of people, patrons kind of walking through, which we really shouldn't have in there. So then at that point, we suggested moving that desk up closer as we talked the new one. Then the wall kind of got thrown in there, and it just kind of morphed from there. But basically, it's a space issue. We're fairly landlocked here, you know, totally in Bering County with every department. But that space is kind of just sitting there not being used or utilized. And it can't be the way it's actually configured now. But the big wall is the main thing and there's a little bit more behind that wall. There's some fireproofing block that's in there that goes all the way up. So there's a little bit more to taking that down, but most of it was to utilize the space in FOC, which you've seen both those areas. They are extremely tight.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. On that sheet that I sent to Annette, it puts a suggestion on how we kind of do. I mean, we can we can go by the numbers and the lead times, completion times that we're given from the vendors, but getting all those to come together exactly is tough to do, especially in this time because one, you got holidays coming up, you got vendors that are going to be, their guys are going to be taking a break. And so it gets very tough to get everything to fall just the way it should. In my suggestion there, it was the two main things that have to happen before anything does is that the new wall has to go up and asbestos has to be removed. Now, in those two steps, those could be somewhat worked together. They can overlap one another. It wouldn't be a big deal. They'll have the area where they're working will be enclosed till they get the asbestos out, but it will be away from where we're working. What we're trying to do, we've got some electrical things we've got to look at, rerun. So that would give us the time and not put the pressure on my staff, what I have left of it, to get this done, exactly on the timeline and get everything up and ready to have the main contractor come in. So it was my suggestion was that the rest of this, going into November and December, if you guys approve for the project to move forward and the funds are put where they need to be, we can start getting these POs out. We can start our work. The asbestos we can get in line. I would assume that with the amount of what it's going to be for the construction, some of these things needed to be bidded out, just per our guidelines. The asbestos part of it, Villa usually hands all the bidding for that. They have all the companies to go through the same process of bidding, and they're pretty much the low man wins on that part. It's pretty cut and dry on what they do, but he usually does handle that for us. So that's one of the good things. But we probably, with that kind of construction project, you probably need, at least 4 weeks to get the RFP together, to give them a chance to come in and see the site and do their proper bidding. So these next 2 months would give us a chance to get our stuff done. But I think for the big wall, you were probably looking at 2021 to start that project. That could start right away, but that's probably what you're looking at.
Okay, Todd, I have a question. Since we haven't seen the latest update, I assume there is a schematic or a diagram in that update?
No, it was pretty much just the layout. I mean, the layout that really didn't change. The new wall stayed kind of where it was originally, where we originally planned, but you guys should have had something on that. And pretty much the big wall's coming down. So we don't necessarily have any schematic drawn up for that yet. We had some things on the asbestos that we had to draw up for Villa and that, which we can get that all together. I mean, if we decide this is a project to move on, then we'll start tightening those things up and getting what we need to.
Okay, there was a question that was raised after, I think, our last presentation about handicap accessible, put microphone, kind of like what Sharon Tyler is asking for down the South County building. Is that incorporated into your plans now?
Everything that we do at this point is all ADA compliant. and we have to do that. Which we're good out front with that new, with the new desk area. Now the microphone, I'm not sure if they're about, $1,500. A lot of times we run into problems with the microphone is that is the only communication. They break down frequently. When the microphone breaks down, that's all you got. So now you're trying to talk to a, glass wall. So, but we can get it. They're not always, you got to remember too, this will be inside the vestibule itself. So the noise will be limited in there. But no, we haven't, the microphone, you're looking at $1,500 to $1,800, I think. But that's something certainly we can add if
Okay.
need be.
Are we talking about the same thing? A microphone, is that the piece that goes in the glass and you
Yeah.
just back and forth with?
Yeah.
Okay, if in areas of the courthouse or any of our buildings for that matter, if you don't have that to communicate, how are they communicating through the glass?
Well, they have them downstairs, but they have one or two. And usually a lot of times when one of them goes bad, they just have to divert to the other window. These things aren't, the longevity of these things aren't the greatest.
Well,
It helped. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Then do you have another solution in mind besides those?
Well, in that area, it was simply just going to be a talk through. And there was a pass through, I think, on that glass too, because of documents and whatever. I don't think you're going to have such a noise issue. One, because you're going to have that little vestibule you'll see in the front that, probably be enough for 2 or 3 chairs or whatever, but it will be enclosed from anything that's going on in the actual lobby to the courtrooms outside of it. So noise shouldn't be a problem there.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Any questions from the committee members or even any comments about support or lack of support for this project?
I have a question, Commissioner Meeks. Maybe it's a little premature for me asking this question. I think Brian said something about speeding this project up for the CARES Act. Now, what would that detail if we speed the project up to get refunded or say reimbursed for some of our expenses?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meeks, if you all look at your screen, I've placed the schematic that was designed by Avonmarsh that was used for the bids for the quotes that Todd has assembled. That's up on your screen.
Yes.
Additionally, the document that Todd has referenced, I've also displayed that up on the screen. I'll make sure you all have all of this information. Now, I recognize that Todd is absolutely hamstrung with projects and deadlines. And so I don't envy the workload that he's facing, but the reason that I'm going to be asking you to push this project is we're sitting on about $1.8 million worth of CARES Act money that was supplied by the state of Michigan to Berrien County. We are absolutely committed to using every dollar of the CARES Act possible. But in reviewing the CARES Act, there are limits on what we can do with CARES Act as opposed to traditional revenue sharing. The project that is proposed for the front of the court is a project that really fits within the CARES Act funding. The space that is currently being used by Tom's team has people sitting very near one another. If we are to do the remodel, it will create greater physical distance between workers, and it will improve, improve the overall safety for Tom's workers, for the county's workers. I will pull up a document in just a second that shows the impact on square footage, but it is significant. The thing I just wanted to stress is we have until the end of the calendar year to allocate expenses to the CARES Act. Any revenue from the CARES Act that is not allocated will be returned to the state of Michigan. And right now I can't give you a rough estimate on how much we potentially are sending back, but I can tell you that this is a project that we can fund 100% with CARES Act, as opposed to funding it through general fund 1 to 2 years down the road.
Okay.
And that's the reason that I'm saying to the admin committee, this is gonna be a pain in the neck for Todd and his crew, but it's a project that's gonna be needed to be completed at some point in the future. And if we make this a priority right now, we can pay for it with the CARES Act.
Okay, thanks for that explanation, Brian. And I think Todd is used to being used and abused. So,
Yeah, you guys do that quite a bit. I'm all right. I'm not saying we can't do it.
yeah, he's used to it. Okay, then I'll go back to the committee members. Any questions? And is anyone opposed to moving forward? Okay, good. I think,
Hey, if I could ask this question too, as far, and Brian, this is probably going to you. If the CARES Act, we have to have, the money have to be allocated, or does the project have to be done and invoiced by the end of the year?
Allocated.
Yes.
So if we can get contracts in place, we don't have to have this thing completed, but if we can get it, the contracts to the Board of Commissioners prior to the end of the calendar year, we should be in good shape. We've asked that question. We've got confirmation that as long as the expenses are allocated, we're good.
Yeah, and I think even within my suggestion there, it was to have all that bidding, all that set and done before even going into 21. So we should be, I mean, I don't see that being a real problem.
okay, so you think you could make the expenditures in 2020 then, correct, Todd?
I can have them allocated. I don't know if I will have them invoiced and paid out, but we can have them allocated for sure.
Okay, great. Brian, what do you need from us? What do you need from the administration committee to move this forward?
Mr. Chair, if the admin committee is good with the plan, and you give us the authorization to proceed, I will take this over to the finance committee and ask them to approve taking the thing out to bid. I'll have some work to do on finalizing the bid spec. And I also requested a construction management proposal from Avonmarsh to assist Todd and his team. I'll have that as part of my recommendation to the finance committee. Get the thing out to bid, get some outside assistance with managing the various subs, and get this thing done as quickly as possible.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Now, the diagram that we're looking at on our screen right now, has the entire board seen this?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, then I think the committee is okay with moving this forward. And if maybe you could send this diagram to all the board members and say that the admin committee has authorized this project to move forward. So if they have any comments or suggestions prior to everything going out, I think that would be good. Otherwise, we're good with this and move forward with it.
All right, Mr. Chair, thank you. I will work with staff to get this thing ready. I will be walking it over to finance next week. And in between now and then, I will get it pushed out to the full board so that they're aware of the project, that it should be on their radar.
Okay, great. Yeah, and Brian, my thought here is just more of a FYI. You know, when we do something like this, I just like the whole board to at least have a heads up before, you know, we really start running with it. But it's okay to run with it.
Yeah, we did the same thing with Silver Beach. I think it makes sense. Nobody's surprised that way.
Yep, very good. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on this topic?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, this is Tom Watson. I wanted to make a comment. I really appreciate the focus that County Administrator Doucette has had on the project. And more importantly, I appreciate the focus of the Administration Committee on this. It certainly is a needed element within the court. It's something that has been something that I think has been long focused on, at least by me. And now I think the opportunity, certainly no one invited COVID and no one anticipated certainly CARES Act funds coming our way, but I will say that the opportunity seems to be presenting itself to be able to go ahead and take care of this. So accolades to, as I said, to all of you, and certainly appreciate the working relationship that we have enjoyed with our buildings and grounds department here at the county also.
Okay, thanks for that, Tom. Appreciate it. Okay, Brian, is there anything else on this topic?
No, sir.
I will say, Brian, we'll, even though we haven't got the actual final approval yet, we want to take to the full board. We'll start working on the bid specs for the wall removal. Villa Environmental will work on the bid specs and do that for us as far as the asbestos removal.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let's move to the next topic, which is Silver Beach erosion with Brian and Brian.
Do you want me to do it or you want to?
I'm in here now so I can get all the documents that I sent.
Yeah.
I just don't know which order you want to do them in.
I'll do it.
Oh, you got it?
Yep, I got it. All right, so Mr. Chair, again, if you all take a look at your screens, I'm just going to pull up a screen share. Okay, so in the room we've got Brian Bailey, and Brian's been working on the project for the Silver Beach Erosion Control Project. I'll have him walk you through this. While Brian is going through this, I will pull up a variety of images just so that you all can have a visual on what's being proposed. Brian?
Sure. Most of you are aware of the erosion issue at the south end of Silver Beach County Park. It has impacted park infrastructure. The shade shelter that is down there is no longer considered safe, and before an accident does happen, the project does include removal of that shade shelter and small picnic table there. The engineers had anticipated a project amount of about $180,000 to $200,000, and that's roughly where the bids came in. Eagle and the Army Corps of Engineers expedited the permitting process. We're good on that front. 4 bids were sent out, and 3 bids were received in a range of $192,850 down to $119,675. The low bid was Triple D Excavating and More LLC, and Edgewater did vet this company. Surprisingly, the how they came up with that low bid is apparently they had a couple of jobs postponed as far as armor stone placement on Lake Michigan, and they have product and material sitting waiting to go, basically waiting to rock and roll. And so that is their reasoning for how their bid came in much lower than the other 2. Edgewater did vet them and are recommending that it is the best interest of Marion County to award the project to Triple D Excavating, and with a contingency for any unaccounted or unforeseen hiccups along the way. The project comes in at $131,642, and what you'll see on the screen is a rendering to give you an idea of what will happen. There is a large concern not only with the sidewalk being damaged, but obviously the road being damaged as well, and also the current status of the riprap, if that's what you want to call it, that is in there has lots of hazardous material in there as far as rebar, sharp metal, all kinds of junk. And this project will address that issue. Armor stone will be in place, and then as you head north about 250 feet, then we'll get into some HESCO barriers Again, those are temporary structures that will help mitigate any wave action that we have this winter. And this project, it is considered a temporary fix until we hire, develop, and fund a permanent solution. And one of the positives out of this is that the stone can be reused in the permanent solution. So that.
Yeah, so just to follow up on Brian's comments, we worked with Edgewater to come up with a plan that tries to maximize the long-term benefit. So the stone that'll be placed will be there as part of the final plan. The HESCO barriers are a relatively low-cost item that will be placed on the more level surfaces. And the HESCO barriers will provide relief for the sidewalks. It'll save some of the beach, and it should protect the street. I think this plan makes a lot of sense, and honestly, we were expecting a price of up to $200,000 for this to come in at the number that it came in. I felt like it was a pretty good option. Edgewater has spent quite a bit of time vetting the numbers, and they've told us that it is their recommendation we go forward with the project. For the admin committee, this is real similar to the friend of the court. I've got to walk the project to multiple bodies. So Silver Beach is kind of a gray area with the improvements that are being proposed here. I'm bringing it to the admin committee for the plan endorsement. If the admin committee says yes, next Tuesday, I'll take this same presentation to PHSC, Parks Parent Committee. And PHSC says yes, then next Thursday, I'll go to the Finance Committee to ensure that they're comfortable with the bids that we have. And then lastly, we'll go to the Board of Commissioners. So that admin is aware of the situation. Before I even started working here, I had a conversation with John Hodgson, St. Joe City Manager, and we were standing on South Havens Beach doing a video for University of Michigan, and it was related to high water. And I recall it very vividly because the waves were absolutely just tremendously large that day, and John kind of put a bug in my ear that this is something that he really wanted to see addressed, and he felt that it could protect some of the sidewalk infrastructure in the street. We started looking at it in July. I know that all three of the committee members, you all have been to the site. Last Sunday was the absolute illustration of why this needs to happen. With the wave action, the wind action, the water was absolutely up into the areas where the HESCO barriers would be placed, as well as the new rocks. We're going to start losing infrastructure if we don't deal with this. Last night I had a conversation with the St. Joe City Manager. This morning I put together a packet that I sent over to him. I'm hopeful that St. Joe leadership will consider formalizing a partnership proposal, but I don't have those details yet. It's kind of a long-winded summary, but my recommendation is admin consider endorsing this plan and allowing us to move forward with getting it funded.
The picture that we're seeing in front of us now, Brian, that is the projected look. That's what it's supposed to look like when we're done.
Yeah, so let me show you before and after. So this is what it currently looks like. You can see the yellow shade structure. And this is what it would look like afterwards. Just a whole lot of rock, and then the use of the HESCO barriers on that northern edge.
Okay, on the HESCO barriers, do we actually purchase those? Are those ours?
Yeah, but they're primarily a one use. So it's a relatively small gauge metal frame with a fabric liner. You set up the boxes and then you fill them with sand. I suppose if you had some type of vac truck, you could suck the sand out, but once you place them, that's pretty much it. The amount of labor it would take to try and reuse them is probably more work than it's worth. So the HESCOs would stay on site until we develop a long-term maintenance plan and implement it, or the water levels begin to recede so dramatically that they're no longer needed.
Okay, and you refer to this as a short-term fix. But define short-term, is that 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15 years? What is short-term?
I think it's probably 2 to 5 years. It's really going to be dependent on how fast the water begins to recede and or how fast we can put together a long-term plan and find a funding source for it.
Okay.
The other,
And that kind of begs the next question is, I forgot, and I'm sure you've told us, the funding, 131,000 and some change. Where's that coming from to pay for that?
well, the beauty of the CARES Act is our contingency fund has been completely replenished. So we could fund this through contingency. We can also use delinquent tax fund to cover the cost. If we go that route, we'd want to put together some type of repayment plan where the parks is repaying the delinquent tax fund. I've had initial conversations with both Doug and Shelley Wyke, our treasurer, and Doug James, our finance director. Both felt pretty comfortable that with the relatively low number that it is fundable, and secondarily, we could do it through contingency or through delinquent taxes.
Okay, thanks for that explanation, Brian. Any questions from the committee members? Any of the committee members opposed to moving forward with this project? Silence is golden. I assume everybody's in.
I would like to see this go forward, Jim.
I would second that.
Yeah.
Third,
Okay, I kind of thought so, but I just wanted to hear you guys, make sure you guys are still alive in there.
You got to figure out how to work this mute button.
Brian, you have our blessings to move forward, if that's what you need.
We'll make it happen.
Very good, sir. Thank you. And thanks to Brian Bailey. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you. And we'll move on to the next topic, which is contractor request for the Public Defender's Office. Brian and Paul Jenka, Jr.
He's on there.
So, Mr. Chairman, I do need to point out, this is the first time I've seen Paul without his mask on. Don't even recognize the guy.
Good afternoon.
So, Mr. Chair, to the admin committee, Paul and I had a conversation. You'll notice that his last name is Janka, but it's also Junior. And probably about a month and a half ago, he pointed out to me that he and his dad have both been very active in practicing law in this area, and that his dad has actually worked as a contractor for the Public Defender's Office in the past. We decided to pull in Commissioner Curran just to have a conversation about the best way to handle that, just to ensure that there are no claims of concern from members of this committee, from the Board of Commissioners, or from the public. So in a spirit of just complete transparency, we arranged for Paul to present to the admin committee on what his proposed solutions are so that there's no concerns about conflict. Paul, can you take the lead?
Yes, of course. So a little bit of overview of the office. We have our in-house staff attorneys, but we also have for conflict situations or potentially some overflow caseload, what we call our panel attorneys, which right now it's a list of about 16 to 17 attorneys that are independent of the office that can handle cases for us. One of them is my father, Paul Janka Sr., former business partner of mine for 10 years. He's been practicing criminal law in the area for like 45 years. But it really doesn't just apply to him. This is something that could come up in the future. The concern I have is, and one that I had discussed both with Chairman Curran and Brian and also my regional manager, is I am in a position where I must review and approve billing decisions, invoices, attorney bills, and also requests for experts and investigators for him. And reviewing Board of Commissioner policies, there's a policy regarding nepotism, and I've concerns about that. There's also the issue of assignments and reassignments. If he has an issue on a case, I'm in a position where it's my decision. And of course, he's, talking to me about it. It makes me very uncomfortable considering other policies that the county has. I discussed with my regional manager as well as Brian and Chairman Curran a couple of possibilities. One would be to have another chief from another county review bills and decisions like that using our policies. The preferred method in speaking to those folks, as well as Shelley Jasper was also part of that conversation, was to have county corporate counsel review these bills and decisions considering our policies. So I am asking if the administration committee would allow us to move forward on a third party and independent approval for these situations.
Hey, any comments or questions from the committee members? Obviously Paul's concern is he doesn't want to have to fire his dad.
I completely understand that. I get it.
Okay, so basically the process, Paul, is those will be reviewed by corporate counsel, finally reviewed by Brian, the county administrator, and then come back to your office.
That'd be great.
Okay, Brian, are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any comments from the committee members? You guys all good with that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Consider it done, Paul. Done deal.
Have a good day.
Great. Thanks. Good seeing you again.
You too.
Hey, Brian, next on the agenda is animal control fee schedule from Tiffany.
Tiffany, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, just wanted to make sure there's a little bit of an echo here. I don't have a way to put my documents up on anything, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So you just describe what you're trying to do. I'll put your documents up on display for the board.
Okay, commissioners, what I'm looking at doing here, we did a few years ago, we increased our dog and cat fee schedule, which was great. It helped because of the money amount that we're putting into the animals. I've come across another concern is that over the last couple of years, now that we've taken on this big, beautiful building and all the extra boarding and stables and things like that that we have here, I would like to add in a fee schedule for livestock, which also is running at large is also a misdemeanor for large breed animals. I do have a fee schedule here that I've put together. I would like you to look over and tell me your thoughts and see if we could get this approved, because we take on these horses for a period of time, or goats or pigs or things, and it costs us money for feed, manpower, housing, things like that.
So Tiffany, I've displayed your proposed fee schedule, and can you just walk the committee through the changes that you've suggested?
Okay, on this page that's up right now, this one is okay, actually. It would be the next page that I would like to add to this.
Got it.
Okay, so the first.
Okay, 1 second.
There are no changes, correct?
Nope, the dogs and cats, the fee schedules are fine. We're still good with those. We just need to add livestock into our fees. We don't have anything on there for livestock.
Okay, I understand.
He should put, it'll pop up here in a minute.
Okay.
There we go. What I did here basically, and I did put the large breed, the statute that explains that it is a misdemeanor for a large breed animal to run at large. We also have, I put in here the livestock impound fees, a first time offense, a second time offense, and a third time offense, which third time offenses usually are not too common, and we do that within 6 months. These boarding fees are basically based on the information I've taken from other places and these are low-end boarding fees. This is an impound fee. I mean, there's been several times when I've had 4 officers out on one horse, and quite frequently, I should say, recently the horse that we took in that actually kicked one of my officers in the ribs and bit the sheriff. So this is the kind of stuff that we deal with. So we need to put something in here for these people. You know, we ended up holding her horse for 2 weeks, so that's feed out of our pockets, money out of our pockets that we need to get reimbursement for.
What happens if they don't pay it?
Well, then we would have to go send it up to the prosecutor's office to see if we could get some kind of restitution. And it is because I mean the animals is a misdemeanor. It's running at large. We could tack right on, basically like we do with our dogs. We can get restitution fees out of this and send it right up to the prosecutor's office. We ask for it, and they 9 times out of 10 they give it to us.
Okay.
I hope that makes a little bit more sense.
To kind of follow up on that question, are these are animals and owners, you're actually citing them. This is not like a boarding fee. This is when you come across the animal, you impound the animal, and you're holding it until the owner redeems it, correct?
Yes, it's a redemption fee is what it's going to be. Just like a dog or cat, we have redemption fees or impound fees. We also would like to see some kind of reimbursement for these horses, or, I mean, we've picked up 2 bulls before. We've had goats, pigs, things like that. And just like a dog, it is a misdemeanor for a large breed animal to run at large. So it's basically the same concept as comparing it to a dog, but I compared the fees to actual boarding fees in the area, what's comparable to a price.
Okay, if to follow up on Commissioner Majoric's question, if someone is assessed a fee for a dog that's been impounded and they won't pay, do you release the dog?
Thank God we haven't had the issue. We have not. Everybody's always paid everything. We haven't had the issue in that case. If it came down to where they didn't pay it, well, we'd have to send it up to the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
We can't exactly release an animal without them paying either. The fees are the fees.
Right. Okay, I understand. Another question I have, in that statute that you cite here, large breed, does that define specific animals? What's considered a large breed?
If you give me 1 second, I can actually read that to you. Pull this right up for you. My handy dandy book that I keep for these kind of things.
And basically, guys, the reason I asked the question, Tiffany, is it describing specific animals, or does it go by weight, those type of things? I'm just trying to get a handle on what a large breed animal would be.
It just says, animals running at large prohibited, violations as a misdemeanor. An animal shall not run at large in the state. A person, and all it says at the top is animal running at large prohibited, violation is a misdemeanor. It says large breed is what all it says on there. So we don't relate that to a dog or a cat. And it says the owner of an animal shall not permit or enable his animal to run at large in the state, and it goes on. Basically, it's the same thing as the dog law, basically, but only this one relates to large breed. That's all it says.
Okay.
It doesn't give you like horse, cow. We've used it. I've used it for the last 15 years.
Okay. And I think a dog and a cat are pretty simple to identify. Since this is going to become part of our policy, would you consider defining large breed for us?
I can. I can do a little more research and get more of this to you, and I can actually get you over this law if you need it. I put it right on here if you want to look it up. It will come up for you. Because if you look under Michigan legislative website, it just gives you the animals running at large, the Act 328 of 1976. And this is what we've just used for the last, like I said, it's probably been about 15 years now. We've used this for large breed animals.
Okay, I think Jim asked this, but will the animal be released only after they paid the bill?
Yes.
And did you run this by the prosecutor and get his ideas if he would even look at it if it's not paid?
No, I have not. It was more of right now looking at a fee schedule for Berrien County. Is like I said, like we have dog and cat fees. If we're going to take in large breed animals, we should probably have a large breed, like a fee schedule as well.
Actually, I think that, is Steve, are you on here? He's on here for something else, I believe, but perhaps.
I can't hear you, Annette.
Steve,
I am
go
on
ahead.
here, lucky for me.
Yep.
Here's a couple things I would say in terms of that 433.12. That's not going to apply to dogs, I don't believe.
No.
So that's not going to be an issue for dogs. So when you're talking about the boarding fees for that and requesting that under restitution, we can request that as a fee for the investigation, as an expense you incur due to the criminal activity. The problem you might have is when your fees for boarding change depending on first offense, second offense, or third offense. Well, I'm imagining it doesn't really matter how many times a particular animal has gotten out. To board them per day is going to be the same whether or not they've been out previously or not. So it's going to have to be one fee, and we're going to have a basis in fact for describing exactly how we came up with that, either 20 or 25 or 30, whatever it is. And I'm sure that won't be hard to do, and we can present that to the court, but it can't be a graduated schedule based on prior activity.
Okay, because that's how our dog fees are too. So we might want to change our dog fees then.
Yeah, I mean, if people are paying it and that's what you charge, so be it. I'm not saying you can get that underneath the restitution statute in front of a court, though, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I have a recommendation, if you can hear Commissioner Meeks. Why don't we go by poundage? Or just say like a horse weighs more than a dog, a pig weighs more than a dog, whatever. Why don't we go by poundage to kind of define what large breeds are? Would that make sense?
No, there's a specific law actually for dogs, the dog law of 1919 and so on. And that's why they've always used this 433 because it refers to large breed. I don't, poundage wise, I mean, I couldn't, you could get a pig or a horse. I mean, and I don't have a scale for all that out here to go out and weigh, especially like the last horse that was biting people.
Large breed. But I think some over poundage could be determined, what's large.
Excuse me for a second. Sorry, this is an act. So if we first back up just a little bit. So to change the fee schedule is going to require a resolution by the board. So we would put together a resolution that's going to put this into effect on a specific day. What if we just describe livestock within the resolution? Would that suffice, or are you going to want it exactly on the fee schedule?
Well, maybe livestock is the answer. It says right there, livestock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just thought I'd just kind of throw some at it. But thank you.
If I can just say one other thing in terms of the prohibition from animals running at large, the definition for animals is specific in that chapter. It is specific under 433.11 to be cattle, horses, sheep, swine, mules, burros, or goats.
Perfect.
So maybe a reasonable, not necessarily a poundage, but I'm not the biggest on animals, but how much does a cattle versus a horse in terms of boarding them for a certain amount of time, in terms of feed, average feed per day, average size of a stall they may need, things like that.
We took the average of boarding per, like a horse, any kind of livestock that you would board. We took those fees in comparison of the area. It wasn't so much, at least we're getting boarding per day back. We would take those funds and replenish, if we had to go out and buy. We keep receipts for the feed, anything that we have to purchase for the animal that is here.
And I think if you came up with an average, especially if you're comparing it to different boarding agencies around the county, that might be enough for a judge in terms of finding a specific amount per day.
Okay, I can get that back. I can get that together.
And eliminate the second and third offense, just a boarding fee.
Okay.
Okay, now I heard Steve refer to 43311. You've got 43312. 11 describes basically large breed. Could you just put that in the policy and just say as defined by MCLA 433.11?
Because the 1-2 is what you actually cite them under and issue the citation.
Right, but 1-1 is the definition. Couldn't you just put that in there as large breed as described in 43311?
Yes.
Because that would be pretty much encompassing then, wouldn't it?
That would be the easy way to do it. Misdemeanor for animals to run at large, animals described in 433.11. That way it covers everything that you need rather than trying to articulate it a different way. There's no question about it.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, do you have what you need, Tiffany, to make those necessary changes?
Yes, I will get together the all the information that I've gotten basically as far as the local areas, the impound or their boarding fees. I'll get that together for you.
Okay, I think that would be great. And then what's the intent? You want to make those changes and bring them back to us for approval?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Brian, is that okay with you also?
Yeah, but Annette has some commentary to offer.
Annette always has commentary, but go ahead. We will gladly listen to you. What do you have to say?
All right, so my question is going to be, if we're going to put together a resolution that's going to approve the fee schedule revised with to include this option. If we bring a resolution back to you that would have all of that together, or do we need to do that in another week, or do you feel comfortable enough with what we're trying to do here that I can just get a resolution completed and we can get that on the board schedule?
You want this approved by next Thursday? Is that what you're asking?
I'm not saying which day I want it approved by. I'm just saying, can we set up a schedule so that we can just put this in place? I mean, if you wanted to come back to admin again to just kind of describe that, we can do that, or we can put together the resolution, attach the fee schedule to it, and then give that to you in that format.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the committee? Personally, I would like to see all that first.
Okay.
I concur with the chairman.
Okay, and I don't think that's still going to hold the process up that long. I mean, we could still do it this coming Thursday if you wanted to, provided we just send us those two, the resolution and the changes to the fee schedule that we've discussed. And I think we could probably get it on the agenda for Thursday. That sound okay in that?
That's what I was just looking for. Is do we need to have another meeting for you guys to have this to go over it and talk about it? Or do you think you have enough of your background that you'd be okay looking at a resolution and a fee schedule and moving it forward to the board in case you guys aren't having another meeting?
Now, I would think that once you've made the changes that we've discussed to the policy and we've seen the resolution, if we have any questions or what have you, we will notify you before Thursday.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Yeah, the committee okay with that? I don't think we need to have another meeting just to discuss the changes that we've made. Everybody okay with that?
I'm good.
Okay, very good. All right, well, good luck, Tiffany. I think you got something in there, and good call on your part about not having a livestock fee schedule. So that's great.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is property owner appeal of road department policy. And that would be County Administrator Brian.
Yeah, so members of admin committee, we had a property owner appeal the decision made by our road department. As it relates to a downed tree, the property owner is just appealing to the admin committee that his expenses be reimbursed. I've got Jason Latham on the line, and Jason has worked with me and with our corporate counsel to review the way the situation was handled and then to review the adopted road department policy. And just, I guess, to kind of expedite the discussion, Jason's review of the way the situation was handled was it tracks with the road department's policy, and I agree with him. Judge Dwayne has also reviewed the situation and agreed with him. Mr. Chair, do you want me to display the documents that we've received from the property owner, or would you prefer to not put all that out on display at this moment?
No, I think just an explanation from Jason of the circumstances and the policy and what he did, and we'll judge it from that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, I'll jump in real quick then. I'm assuming you guys got the memo that gives the high-level account of what happened. Let's see, trees within the right-of-way are definitely something that come up quite frequently as issues, but never too big of an issue because we follow our policy. And really what it comes down to, and this is what Judge Dwayne reaffirmed, is that the trees within the right-of-way are not county trees. They are not road department trees. They're not county ovarian trees. They are the property owner's tree, and therefore the property owner's responsibility. So what our policy says is if a tree is knocked down and actually blocks the roadway, we push the tree off the road and several feet off the road, 10 feet, I believe. So it's a safe distance away from the motoring public. And our expectation is, and the policy states, that it's the property owner's tree and the property owner's responsibility. I know there have been cases that obviously support that outside of our county, but you know, that have been challenged in court. But I don't know if any that have been challenged here. But in essence, we follow our policy. It's not our tree. If we were to take all that wood, cut it up and leave, and that person has a fireplace and wanted it, trust me, they would come after us and expect us to either bring the wood back to them or do something like that. And that's just one of the silly things that can happen when you start taking property that's not yours. So in this particular case, it was a huge wind event. Lots of trees were down. We pushed this one off our right-of-way onto basically where the tree came from, which was the property owner's property. And they expected us to come back and get it. And we said that that's not our responsibility. So they went ahead and paid a private company to come remove it, and then sent us the bill. And then we formalized our position back to them. And then I think they didn't like that answer, and I think that's when they contacted Brian just to see if there's anything else that could be done. So that's where we are. It's one of those things. To me, it's a slippery slope. If we start picking and choosing who we clean up, you know, what properties get county to clean up, we could be going down a path where we don't have enough money to clean all the trees in the county. That's for sure. And I think that's really the basis for the policy. Is it's not our tree, so we shouldn't be cleaning it up and using it, and we don't have enough money to maintain private property trees in the first place. So that's the background. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and I just have a question. Who communicated with the property owner last? I assume you talked to him once, Jason, and then Brian talked to him?
Yeah, so they stopped by and we explained our position, and then they sent us more information, and then that's when we responded with a letter formally saying we're going to deny their request to pay the tree removal. And then I believe they probably talked to Brian last.
Okay, so has he gotten a verbal response from us, or I I guess part of the process or the procedure, we are the appeal. Do we then need to generate some kind of communication, written communication back to the owner saying this is our findings from the information provided, or how does that work?
Commissioner.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so my recommendation is if the admin committee is in agreement with myself and with Jason that the policy was applied correctly, if you all say that, then I'll work on putting together a formal statement to the property owner, just notifying him that respectfully your petition was considered and denied.
Okay, and the property owner knows the process. They know that you have brought this to the admin committee?
Yeah, and Commissioner, I'm looking back on the last time I communicated with the property owner, and it's been several weeks. So if you all want to allow the individual to communicate directly with you, I can certainly make that arrangement. But I notified the property owner that I would bring this to the admin committee, but I forgot to notify him that it was an agenda item for today. So that's completely my mistake. If you all want to speak directly with him, I'll work to make those arrangements.
Okay, no, that was not the purpose of my question. My question is in the process that if we uphold your and Jason's decision, then do you generate a communication, a written communication stating the process and that we upheld that decision?
Yes, sir. I'll supply him with a copy of the policy, a copy of the meeting minutes, and then a cover letter explaining that this has been given additional consideration, and unfortunately the policy was upheld.
Okay, thank you. From my perspective, I think it was clear that tree was outside the road right away. And so I think following our policy in this regard is totally appropriate. I'll open it back up to any committee members. Comments? Or no comments?
Well, the only comment I have, I couldn't really hear Jason for some reason. It wasn't, I couldn't get to him, but my understanding is that the tree was in the property owner's property line. And I don't know how we got involved if that was it, but that part, I don't know if it fell down or didn't, or he just had it removed because he wanted to. But I guess it's a dead issue if it's not even on our property line or whatever we're in control of. Is that correct?
So the tree actually fell within, into the roadway itself. And then we pushed it off the roadway in accordance with our policy. And then also with accordance to our policy, we don't come back to clean it up. It is the property owner's tree.
And the tree fell as a result of a storm, correct, Jason?
Correct.
Okay, any other questions from the committee members?
Mr. Chair, this
is
just to help provide clarity. I'm pulling up a screen share that'll just show you exactly what occurred there. All right, it should be up on everybody's screen.
But let me ask a question while you're doing that, Brian. There are no unusual circumstances here for the request, or is the guy just hoping that we will cover the cost?
I'm not aware of any unusual circumstance. Jason, are you aware of anything?
Nothing unusual.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
So the pictures are very confusing.
So if you take a look at your screen, you can see the tree that came down, and it tracks with what Jason described. It fell into the road, but you can also see where it fell from. I think the policy is pretty clear, and it appears to have been followed to the T.
Did the power company get involved in this at all?
Not to my knowledge, because I think it fell away from the power lines.
Okay, it did not take any power lines with it when it came down then.
Not that I know of, because if there would have been power lines in it, we wouldn't have pushed it away. We would have waited for them to come in and give us the all clear.
Okay, very good. Yeah, any other comments from the committee members? Everybody good with this and saying we concur with what was done and that the policy was followed? Okay, I think that pretty well covers that topic, Brian. We're good.
Sorry, hey Jason, before you go on your next thing, can we just have you just move a little bit here and see and do some mic checks?
Right. So I don't know where my microphone is. Do you think it's actually part of my?
That's better.
That's better. Maybe it's. Is that good?
Yeah, that was much better.
All right. I think the microphone must be in this little camera, is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
I'll get really close to it, unfortunately.
Okay, then the next item on our agenda is annual township meeting update. So Jason, we're back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So right now, for the first time, we're doing a Zoom meeting with all 22 townships. So I think all but one have gotten back to us with the names of all the folks they want to have from their township to attend. And it's next Tuesday. And the plan is to basically do exactly what we did the last 2 years, which is describe our asset management approach, describe the current state of the roads within each of their townships, and then let them know that in essence, we're going to give them an individualized asset management plan for the local network roads within their township. And then we're going to describe the matching program, which is basically we take road money, in essence, from the county primary budget, if you will. Act 51 lays out, and this is stuff that I've gone over with you guys before, but it says the county primary system really should get 2/3 of the transportation funding it receives, and then the county local system should get about 1/3 of that funding. So they set that up within the Act 51 law. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. That's what we go by. So in essence, we're taking 1.5 million out of that county primary funding, making it available for all the townships to use. And if they want to use it, all they have to do is match it. And then that matching requirement, that is another piece of the law of Act 51 that says if you're doing projects on the local system with MTF funding, that's the Michigan Transportation Fund, that it does need to be matched. So it's been a great program because really what we're doing is we're just enticing the townships to be part of the solution in terms of maintaining the transportation network within the county. So I think this year, 21 of the 22 townships participated in the program. I think last year it was all 22 participated. And in essence, we break it down based on the miles of roads they have in each township, based on their population. So it's a very fair and equitable split of that funding. So once we go through the matching program, our Act 51 funding, the asset management plan, then it's going to go through the project selection, how we selected the projects, and we're selecting them exactly the way we did last year. So they should be very familiar with that. And then once the meeting's over Tuesday, our plan is by Thursday to mail them the actual list of projects that we're recommending for each township. And then we're going to give them about a month to review it, get back with us if they want to call us, if they want to do a Zoom meeting, if they're okay with us coming in and doing some social distancing, we can meet in person with them and their board to answer any questions, to then solidify what projects will be going next year. And then that gives us the ability to develop our estimates and our quantities, and then we can start bidding out in December and January. So we can get our trap rock, our slag, our emulsion, and everything else that we have to put together for next year's construction season. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't think it'll last much more than an hour. And if they have questions, we have 2 hours, I think, blocked off. So we'll do whatever we can to get everybody comfortable with the process.
Okay, thanks for that, Jason. A question, you said 1/3 goes to secondary roads of the APF. Now, is that for road improvement or road maintenance or both?
It's everything. So that's just a general rule of thumb. Of the $18 million that Berrien County got this year, the expectation is 1/3 goes to the county local roads and 1/3 goes to the county primary road, or 2/3 to the county primary. So 1/3, 2/3.
Okay, so
it's plowing, it's mowing, line striping. It's even if you just look at our time, you know how much time we spend.
potholes?
Yeah, everything, everything.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jason. Any questions from the committee members? Okay. Any questions? Brian, you good? Annette, any questions?
Totally good.
If you don't mind, Jim, I'd like to try to skip ahead to a couple of resolutions that we're gonna have you guys take a look at while Jason's on here, because they are from the road department. If that's okay with you, I'd like to just kind of review those with you with Jason here in case you have any questions for him after I'm done.
No, that's fine, Annette. Can you put it up on the screen for us?
No, but I bet I can explain it really, really well.
I'll get them up.
Okay, do we have them? Are you talking about the two speed studies?
Yeah, so this morning I sent all the resolutions that we were gonna bring before admin today to talk about that are scheduled to be voted on by the full board next week if you guys give your approval.
Okay, so the two resolutions you're referring to are the two speed studies?
Correct.
Isn't it 3 resolutions?
There's 2 resolutions that are speed
But
studies, 71 and 72.
Okay, I'm pulling them
The
up.
third resolution wasn't pertaining to the road department, if I recall.
It is not. The third resolution is for a friend of the court and a prosecutor, which is why Steve Frangeli and Tom Watson are still on, because we want to talk about that resolution. But I just thought before we let Jason go, you guys, I sent you the resolutions this morning. This is following the kind of the process that we kind of put into place after we took over the road commission. It became a department. I worked with Michael Youngling so that we could figure out a way to do this. And basically the townships passed a resolution asking to have a speed study done. And then it comes to you as the board of commissioners. You authorize the road department to work with the Michigan State Police to get that speed study done. And then if there are going to be any changes to the speed limit on that particular road, then that comes back to you in the form of action to approve that action for that to be done. And so both of these resolutions, 71 and 72, and I think Brian put up 72 as example, it kind of describes where the road's at and what the township has asked for. I can assure you that when these come to us, we have a copy of the resolution from the township, so we know that it was, it was through their action that kind of spearheaded this whole process. But so once this is done, then we would give the heads up to the road department to go ahead and that you've given that approval. Jason, did I cover that all right?
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So if the committee has any questions about those, even further into the details, then we have Jason here in case you want to ask those now.
Okay, any questions or is anyone opposed to these two resolutions? If you do, we'll ask Jason while he's here. Okay, not hearing any. I think you have approval on those, Annette. Go ahead and run them through.
Thank you. So those will go before the full board next week. It'll be on the agenda.
Very good. Thank you. Anything,
Thanks, Jason.
anything else from Jason?
I'd like to say something to Jason.
Right ahead.
Well, Jason, I'd like to congratulate you how well the job look on Napier.
Thank you.
And I think it's just going to be a lot safer. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I would echo those sentiments, except I haven't driven on Napier for about, what, 6-9 months now?
Back to do that this afternoon.
We got to get you out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been quarantined down here. Okay, thanks, Jason. Appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking at the agenda and I see we're down to committee business. Approval of the minutes of October the 8th, 2020. We need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from then.
Don Meeks, second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Majerick, support from Commissioner Meeks. I don't see Jennifer on mine, but I'm sure she's still here. Would you please take the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Hugel,
Yes.
Meeks.
Yes.
You have 4 yays.
Okay, thank you. And then Annette, you have one more resolution there that I glanced at it. Did you want to talk about that?
I'm gonna actually give this over to the county administrator, and then, like I said, we have Steve Frangely and Tom Watson on Zoom as well. They are present to answer any questions that you would have. And Brian's bringing that up on the screen, I think.
Okay.
I was, but I'm
No,
having some issues. Come on.
I have it in front of me if you want to just read from it.
Yeah.
Are you
So I
gonna-
lost my screen share ability.
Okay.
So committee members, thanks for hanging in there. I know this is a longer session. We do have Mr. Tom Watson from our friend of the court, and is our
Yeah, he's not
Steve.
here. He's just on via phone, I think. You can't see him, but he's there.
Okay. So Tom is going to walk you through the proposal while he's giving you an introduction. Oh,
There he
hey,
is.
Steve. I'm going to try and pull up this resolution and get it out to everyone's screen. Just give me about 30 seconds to restart. Tom, are you comfortable with the background information?
Yeah, if I might, I know Steve is also on. Mike Sepik, just as an FYI, I know was tied up in another Zoom session and was unable to make it. But we've been spending an awful lot of time, the friend of the court as well as the prosecutor's office, and talking about this possibility, which has presented itself based upon, first of all, number one, the law changing. The law changed back in 2014. Legislation changed that allows the prosecutor's office long-standing practice of handling establishment services for cases in child support matters to combine that particular effort with the friend of the court. The law previously had mandated that the prosecutor was in charge of the establishment services. The friend of the court handled all of the enforcement services for cases that were established in the child support program. What really then, number two, precipitated our discussion between Mike Sepik and I going forward was the intended retirement, the announcement that Mary Molesky, the assistant prosecuting attorney who was handling the child support establishment services program, announced her retirement in July of this year. That basically ramped up the discussion that we had between the prosecutor and the friend of the court. With that as background, this resolution that you have in front of you today, we are asking for the committee's support to be able to move this forward to the full board next week to allow that consolidation to occur. What happens logistically is that there are currently 3 individuals that make up the particular department that handles the establishment services in the prosecutor's office. No one is losing a job. We intend to absorb these individuals into the friend of the court. Also, logistically, what happens, there is a separate contract. As the longtime serving board members on the admin committee, I know Commissioner Curran probably remembers this as one person, but our services through the child support, any services that we do that are child support related, not only in the prosecutor's office, but also in the friend of the court office, are 2/3 reimbursable to the county. Our functions that we have with the friend of the court, PA office, the county only spends 1/3. So 34 cents, 33 cents of every dollar is what the county predominantly spends for services related to friend of the court and PA activities. 2 contracts right now are in place. Those 2 contracts will go away. We're proposing January 1st of 2021. Those 2 contracts go away. We then will have 1 contract which will go ahead and handle all the services, and that 1 contract will be what will be known as a combined contract. The resolution goes on to describe that information. We are proposing that this particular process, as I said, becomes effectuated January 1st of 2021. Clearly, there has been communication and involvement with the State Office of Child Support, which is the office that is in charge of this particular program in and underneath the Department of Health and Human Services, DHHS, on the state level. This particular program, this particular consolidation requires also a notification to the Office of Child Support that we intend to do this in Berrien County. And it requires the attestation of the elected prosecutor. It requires the concurrence of the friend of the court director, the trial court chief judge, who has been looped in to our conversations. Judge Brian Berger has been involved from the very beginning in this process. And also, most importantly, for you folks as commissioners, it requires the chairperson of the Berrien County Board to also sign this particular document. So that's the background in a nutshell of what we're talking about here. There is no cost element that's involved as far as the county is concerned, other than, as I said, the reimbursement practices that are in place right now. Those stay in place. You need to know there's a number of counties in the state of Michigan that have long operated under a combined contract for the child support services. Our neighbor county, as an example, Van Buren County, has had a combined contract for these services for as long as I've been with the county, over 20 years. A number of counties in the state of Michigan have also undertaken just recently this combination effort. Most notably, I guess, would be Muskegon, Ottawa County, some of the counties on the east side, Monroe County being one. Calhoun County also has undertaken this. So that's the background. Most of this precipitated, as I said, and ramped up by the fact that the assistant prosecuting attorney handling these cases in the separate office, Mary Molesky, retired. I guess I should mention finally that the resolution talks about the fact that Mary has indicated that she is more than willing to go ahead and continue after retirement. That has been something that we've talked about. Mary is a known quantity to the judges here in the court, and she's indicated that she certainly would love to go ahead and continue these services for what we believe to be will be less of a cost. We are looking at it as a part-time type of position as far as the legal aspects are concerned, the legal work that would need to be completed for this. So I know that's a lot of background, a lot of information, but that gives you why we're bringing this resolution to you today.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And I would imagine that the chief judge and everyone else who is directly involved with this, the prosecutor's office, are all in agreement.
That is correct.
And the 4 people that are currently assigned to the prosecuting attorney's office, will they now come off of the prosecuting attorney's payroll and be put on friend of the courts?
It is also correct. As I indicated, by the process of combining this contract, and actually the timing works out good as far as the county is concerned, given the fact that we are on a calendar year for our budget purposes. These individuals will then be included in the new contract, just as all of my staff of 40 right now are in the friend of the court contract. We simply add those to the new contract, and they become members of the friend of the court office, with the friend of the court office now performing the establishment services previously provided by the PA.
Okay, thanks for that, Tom. Now, it's apparent you've laid out all the positives. Is there a negative?
I don't believe, Mr. Chairman, that there would be a negative for this. As I've indicated, there are certainly a number of counties that we're not inventing the wheel. There's a number of counties that have long had this type of process regarding the child support program. As I said, I see the positives certainly outweighing any negatives, of which I can't really identify one, given the fact that we're going to have all the staff that are currently performing this work still performing the work. They're the most knowledgeable. We believe that we have some capacity within the friend of the court in the clerical arena to go ahead and assist with some of the clerical work that needs to be done. We have the willingness of the former APA, now retired, to continue this work, certainly extremely knowledgeable in this particular area. So I cannot identify a negative for that. And I don't want to put Steve on the spot, but I don't know if he has any comments regarding that.
That's okay.
I
was on the spot. So go ahead, Steve.
I can add a little bit to that. As Mr. Watson indicated, Muskegon County has been doing this for years. I've spoken with Prosecuting Attorney DJ Hilson from there and listened to him speak several years ago about this. He did not have any negatives that he brought to light. He recommended it in terms of just efficiencies. Some of the investigative work that front of court does would help out very much so on what we were doing with separately. So I think the efficiencies will improve. As Mr. Watson indicated, down the road, it's likely that the attorney aspect of this could be a part-time position. Ms. Molesky was doing a lot of supervisory work at DHHS. So that won't necessarily be needed anymore with the FOC. And I'm not trying to get into Mr. Watson's wheelhouse there, telling him how he's going to supervise everything. But I think that will improve efficiencies and save money down the road.
So will these 4 positions be put into the friend of the court office where we're providing you more space, Tom?
Well, that's a very good question. Ideally, we would definitely like to go ahead and have these individuals at some point in time, probably in 2021. Difficult to go ahead and put a time frame on that. Initially, upon the consolidation, the folks will stay at the Department of Health and Human Services building where they are located right now in Benton Harbor. But I think it's fair to go ahead and tell you that there are a lot of questions as to what the status of that particular building may be. And the reason I say that is many of the DHHS workers are not in person. They have been working remotely for probably since the start of the pandemic and have never come back. I know there is a lot of conversation regarding that continuing. One of the beauties that we had with the PA's office being at the DHHS building is because the services that are offered or that were offered certainly in person regarding services that these individuals would take advantage of. It was kind of like a one-stop shop. They could, if they had child support activities with us, with the PA's office, they certainly could go ahead and stop in and give service on their case and get questions answered. That may not be the case going forward if individuals in other areas for DHHS don't come back. So long-winded answer, but we probably, yes, are looking forward to bring these people into the courthouse at some point in time. Probably in the latter part of 2021 would be my guess.
Okay, great. Thanks for that explanation, Tom. Anything else from Steve? Steve, you have anything else for us?
I have nothing additional. I can say Mr. Sepik is in full support of this, and I believe has already signed the documentation that Mr. Watson needs to submit to the state. And I know the state has been in communication with Mr. Watson to have this run pretty smoothly, relatively speaking.
Correct.
Great. Thank you very much. And you may have answered this, Tom, but grade 5 FOP and grade 5 non-union, same cost?
Yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that we need to and should point out is that two of the clerical staff in the prosecutor's office were unionized staff. And we made a contact to the unit steward, and we also made a contact through Shelley Jasper to the business representative for the unit to see if they would agree to have these individuals allowed to come out of the union. They have agreed to that. And so what that is that places them into the non-union grade scale that is most comparable to the grade scale they were in and the functions that they were providing, comparable to where this position is in the front of the court.
Okay, thanks for that explanation, Tom. Any questions from the committee members? Okay, if there are no comments from the committee members, then we'll move this resolution through, Annette.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Steve. Appreciate you being here.
You folks have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks, you too. Okay, Annette, public comment, and then while you're doing that, is there anything from the committee members?
Nothing from me.
Thanks, Chris.
I have nothing either. Don.
Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Any public comments, Annette?
I'm looking.
Mr. Chair, while she's looking, we've only got like 2 more hours of items to run through with you, so.
Is that all?
That's it.
You're hilarious.
Can we take a break first?
Okay.
So while Annette's looking for public comment, as you all were discussing livestock fees, my middle child and I love what are called dad jokes. So all I could think of was the dad joke of what do you call a cow with 2 legs? Lean beef.
What was it?
A cow with 2 legs, lean beef.
What do you call a cow with no legs?
Ground beef.
There you go.
Okay, there's no public comment. We're good.
I can't imagine why. Okay. Is there anything else before the committee? Any other business?
No, sir.
Okay, not hearing any. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.